Now after relational data, this is the time that in this video we are going to focus on concept of non-relational data. Obviously that this is not going to be storing data in a tabular format like relational, but then what kind of formats are there, what kind of differences are there compared to relational data, that's what we are going to see in this video. We will mainly explore the characteristics of this non-relational data. We will see what kind of formats and file extensions are going to be useful in that. We will define the non-relational data types, and then we will see that what is this NoSQL and what types of non-relational databases are available in the cloud nowadays. Now because we are dealing with non-relational data, we have to keep in mind that non-relational data can be unstructured or semi-structured. You can see on the screen the data which I'm showing you is a semi-structured data, because in this case the key value pairs are going to be there. We have a customer whose keys are going to be like name, telephone, address. We maybe have another customer who's actually having name with title like Mr. and then we have telephone and addresses. This is the data which is neither fully structured nor unstructured. This is a semi-structured data, and then obviously this is a non-relational data, so we have to store the data directly as a field or a key value pair. Multiple entities in the same collection or container with different fields are possible in non-relational data, and that's the reason this is one of the very flexible and good way to store the unknown data, where you do not know the data types, you do not know that what kind of flexible data can come into each and every key. In order to understand non-relational data in a better way, we have to understand the semi-structured data first, and then we have to understand unstructured data also. Most of the time semi-structured data is going to store data by fields, and then most of the time these are the 4 different formats of the file which are used in the semi-structured data. People use JSON files, where JSON files are mostly allowing you to store data in the form of key value pair with the curly brackets at the end. Each field is going to have a name and the value associated with that after the column. So it's like key colon value kind of syntax will be followed. One field can contain simple values or even sometimes sub documents also, which are again going to end with the curly brackets. Fields can also have multiple values, or it can also hold an array. Like in the previous slide, the sample which I have shown you was nothing but something like a JSON file. Same way we have Avro. Avro is nothing but a row-based format. It was created by Apache initially, and then it was used by them. In Avro, each record contains a header that describes the structure of the data in the record. So they follow the header-based configuration for the data storage, while JSON stores key value pair kind of thing. In Avro also, the headers are going to be stored in the JSON format only, and the data is going to be stored in the binary format. So it's like header will be JSON, data will be binary, and that combination is there inside Avro. We also have third one, which is ORC, which stands for Optimized Row Column Format. This ORC organizes data into columns rather than rows. In first 2 formats, we store data in and organize in the form of rows, while ORC is going to focus on columns. That's the reason the name is actually Optimized Row Column Format. It was developed by Hortonworks for optimizing the read and write operations in Apache Hive, and even today we are using this thing inside the Apache Hive. Hive is a data warehouse system which is invented by Hadoop data system and Hortonworks actually, and that's going to allow you to store a very large data sets and huge data associated with that. The last but important one is something which is Parquet. Parquet is another column data format. So same like ORC, Parquet is also column data format, but the changes, this is something which is created by Cloudera and Twitter. The Parquet file contains row groups. Data for each column is stored together in the same row group. So there are chances that one row group is going to have multiple data for each column which is stored inside that. Each row group contains one or more chunks of data. The Parquet file includes metadata that describes the set of rows found in each chunk. These 4 different formats are giving me an idea that this kind of semi-structured data I can store, and I can use different formats as per the need or as per the technology which I'm associated with. Any of these four formats which are widely used can be used as a semi-structured data, which will be non-relational data. Now let's understand what is unstructured data. Well, unstructured data are mostly going to have data like video, audio, some media streams, or some documents which cannot have any proper structure which needs to be followed. It often used to extract data, organization and categorize or identity structures, something like that. It frequently used in combination with machine learning and cognitive services capabilities, because this audio, video and the streaming which you're using here can be generated by some devices like IoT devices. It can be used and generated by some kind of an existing APIs like cognitive APIs or vision APIs, and then this data is going to be used and stored inside your data operations and analytics. Hey guys, sorry for interruption. My name is Maruti and I'm here to make a very important announcement. I hope you are liking our videos and you're doing a continuous learning with us on an Azure cloud and AI related topics. If you are enjoying this thing, I'm going to announce skilltech.club, which is our upcoming website, which is going to be launched very soon. We are here to tell you one thing, that everyone who is a subscriber of this particular channel will get Azure Cloud and Azure AI related certification courses free of cost in skilltech.club. So you will be a part of the skilltech.club kind of a membership automatically free of cost. And everyone who's a subscriber of this particular channel will get those benefits which are available in that. So what are you waiting for? I request you to please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and families if they are also interested in Azure Cloud and AI learning. That's it from my side. Now you can carry on with your learning. Thank you. With structured and unstructured data formats, you also need to understand something which is known as NoSQL. Now, what is NoSQL if you ask me? Then I will say that NoSQL is nothing but a key value store. It has two elements, a key and a value. The key uniquely identifies the item and the value holds the data for that particular item. When you are dealing with NoSQL, it can be a key value store which you are using, which is the most common way. But other than that key value store, we can also store data in a form of document. We can also use column family based databases like ORC, which we have discussed, and we can also use some graph databases in NoSQL. When you're using document based databases, these are going to represent something which is totally opposite to key value store. In this case, a document database is going to have each document with the unique ID, and the document is going to store one set of record for your data. The fields inside the documents are going to be transparent to the database management system, and then while retrieving the data, you can also store data in a JSON format and you can retrieve it with the key value pairs which are stored inside that. If you are not willing to store data in a JSON format, you can also use some other format like XML, YAML or BSON. Or maybe you can store documents even as a plain text. A column family database organizes data into rows and columns. As I have given you an example of ORC or Parquet files are going to use this kind of databases. And then we have a fourth one, which is graph database, which is comparatively newer than the other three, but this is also widely useful in almost all the modern social media and e-commerce websites where we want to store non-relational data which is actually going to have some kind of a logical relationship with the other data. I'll explain this thing in this next slide. The graph database enables you to store entities, but the main focus is on the relationship that these entities are going to have with each other. Like you can see, I'm showing you one diagram in this where we have employee, and there are chances that this employee, whose name is Sarah, is actually manager of another group of employees. We have employee called Alok, Inessa and Max. They are actually going to report to Sarah. And when we have this kind of relationship between one employee and the another employee, to maintain the hierarchy and the relation between multiple employees, or to maintain the hierarchy with the departments and employee, you have to make sure that the relationship should be maintained even in this kind of non-relational data structure. When you're dealing with graph databases, the faster retrieval of the data is going to be a base necessity. And that's why almost all the graph databases available in the cloud are going to give you much higher throughput than the traditional RDBMS databases. A graph database are going to store two types of information. Nodes that you can think of the instance or an entity kind of thing, like here employee and departments are the nodes actually. And then you also need to specify the ages. The ages are actually going to define the relationship between nodes. So each square box here in this diagram is a node, and each arrow which is connecting one node with another node is actually an age which defines the relationship between nodes. This kind of n number of relationships can be there, and this kind of n number of nodes can be there inside one graph database. Most graph databases are going to store hierarchical data structures, and it's really flexible in the data modeling. It can store this data further into different formats including JSON, and then it can be retrieved in your application using any programming languages. So in this video we have seen and explored the concept of non-relational data. We have seen the file format, the way we store the data, and we have also seen the varieties which are available in that from different companies and technologies.